name is Becky Womble. I'm the president and CEO of the Bastrop Chamber of Commerce, and I am proud to welcome you here to our Bastrop Votes Candidate Forum for Bastrop ISD Place 3 and 4. Tonight's forum is part of an initiative we have called BastropVotes.com. The purpose is pure and simple. We want to actively register voters to vote. We have a website with fair, impartial, and insightful information about candidates seeking elected office. And we conduct candidate forums like this so that you can see and hear the candidates themselves before Election Day on Saturday, May 6th. And since its inception, we've held more than 20 of these candidate forums in person and virtually. It's an exciting time to be a part of Bastrop County and with its growth, and you can see it everywhere. There's new rooftops through subdivisions. There's jobs through companies like SpaceX, The Boring Company, and TCS Mechanical. That means thousands, I said thousands, of new children living in the area in a school district covering almost 437 square miles. With this inevitable growth that's upon us, we need visionary leaders, and they need to have energetic leadership. Before we get started, I want you to know that the slate of questions for tonight's forum was assembled and vetted by a panel from our Government Affairs Committee and submitted to our moderator. The questions have this criteria. Questions directed personally at one candidate will not be asked. Rude or inflammatory questions will not be used, and questions of a similar topic were combined so we do not have repetitive subject matter. I want to remind the candidates to please speak clearly into your microphones so the viewers watching online as we stream this can hear you, and that also it will be recorded and put on our BastropVotes.com website within 48 hours. If you don't see, excuse me, lost my train of thought here. Also, this forum, like I said, is being recorded and will be posted. I'm going to ask also that everybody in the audience please mute your cell phones because it's very distracting when they go off and the candidates are trying to concentrate on answering a question. We had a late afternoon change to our candidate forum. So I want to let you know before we get started that Priscilla Reese' father passed away last night at 2 a.m. and she is en route to Midland. Due to our protocols, father-in-law, passed away, and so she's en route to Midland with her husband to make funeral arrangements. And per our protocols, we will not have a forum for place 4, but Mr. Gregory Muth will have the opportunity to make an opening statement. Tonight, we have to introduce, or I get to introduce, several facilitators who make this happen every time we have candidate forums. First, we have Carrie Fossler up here on my right to your left, and she is a great member of our Government Affairs Committee, serves on our board of directors, and all-around amazing volunteer in the community of Bastrop. So please thank Carrie Fossler. Our moderator tonight is Charlie Stone. Mr. Stone has lived in Bastrop for 23 years with his wife of 46 years, Cindy. He is a U.S. Army veteran who served one tour as a helicopter pilot in Vietnam. He graduated from Texas State University with a degree in law enforcement and worked as a DPS trooper. He and his wife have owned 2 small businesses, and he served as the county judge in Refugio County from 1991 to 1999. After 14 years of service working at the Capitol for a state representative and finally as an executive director at a state agency, he retired in 2011. He and his wife enjoy traveling, attending Cedar Valley Baptist Church, going to estate sales, taking care of their 4-legged children, and repairing and restoring classic cars and trucks. So with Judge Stone's wide variety of experience, he is a perfect choice to moderate our forum tonight. Please welcome to the podium for tonight's forum, Judge Stone.
All right, well, good evening, everybody. Glad to see you here. We're going to get right to it, but since the things have changed tonight, we're going to, according to the protocols that we have, we're going to allow Mr. Mueller to give a statement, since he doesn't have an opposing candidate here tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to you and let you open with that statement before I get into the rules for the other candidates, okay?
Appreciate that, Judge. By the way, my name is Greg Miller. It looks like Mueller, but I pronounce it Miller. I've been here in Bastrop County for nearly 40 years. I am a graduate of Bastrop. I have a junior this year. My son graduated last year from Bastrop. My heart is set in Bastrop. I love Bastrop. I brought my family back here to raise after I graduated back in '93. Attended college on football scholarships, and I wanted to raise a family here. This is a great community that I lived in. I wanted to grow this community. I want this to be a destination stop again. This is where it needs to be. We need to get our facilities up and running, and we need to get our teachers in support big time, and we need to grow. We're gonna have growth here, and like Becky said earlier, we have rooftops coming, and they are coming. My graduating class was 200. My son's class was nearly 400. So I know that was nearly 30 years ago, but we need to grow, and that's where we need to start. Tough questions, I will ask. I am not opposed to asking tough questions and getting the answers. So that's what I'm here for, and if y'all want to meet me afterwards, I'm willing to be here. I'll lend an ear. All right?
Thank you very much. You want to stay seated up here, or you want to join the audience?
I'll sit back here.
You're big enough to say wherever. So you can sit wherever you want to.
Have people go, why is this person not getting a question? So anyway,
Oh.
it's up to you.
All right. Well, let's move on to protocols. For those that have not attended one of these before, I always have to read the rules of engagement tonight. So this is not a debate, this is a forum. So I'd like to go over these very quickly before we get into asking the candidates questions. So first of all, candidates who do not attend cannot otherwise be represented, either by another individual or a prepared statement. If only one candidate is in attendance, there will be no forum for that office, and the candidate present will be permitted to make an opening statement. That's what you just heard and saw right here. Questions have not been made to the candidates, these two candidates, or this candidate here either, in advance of this forum, and they will never get the questions as long as I'm moderator. Each candidate will be allotted the following time slots: a 2-minute opening statement, a 1.5-minute response to each question, a 1-minute rebuttal for the candidate who was asked the question first. And then at the end of the forum, there will be a 2-minute closing statement. And then, if time permits, and there may be time for questions from the floor, the candidates will have 1.5 minutes to answer questions from the floor. Okay, the order of statements and questions. The order of the opening statement will be determined by alphabetical order for each office. And the first question that is to be asked, the first responder will be the candidate who was second to make their opening statement, so they get the first question. And then subsequent questions will alternate between the candidates. To allow time for closing statements, we have a total, this says 12 to 16, I believe I have 10, and I left, I think that's going to be enough. And Becky has promised me we're going to have questions from the floor tonight. So we're looking forward to y'all minds turning and writing some questions down. We'll give you time to do that. So our timer carry will keep the candidates and moderator apprised of the remaining time. If a candidate is in mid-sentence when the stop sign is shown, then he or she may complete the sentence in as few words as possible. If a candidate attempts to exceed his or her time allotment, the moderator will inform the candidate that the allotted time has expired and direct the forum to continue to the next candidate. So those are pretty straightforward, and I presume that both you candidates got a copy of this, so they had a copy of that. So, all right. Are you all ready to get into having them answer some questions? Oh, come on, are you here? All right. So, we're going to start with the opening statements, and as we said, it opens by alphabetical order. case, Mr. Moore, you get to make a 2-minute opening statement.
Thank you, Judge. I have a passion for public education and for all the opportunities that it offers. Hello? That sounds like I did. Testing, failing, testing. Testing again. Are we good? Okay. Let's see, where was I? I have a passion for public education and for the opportunity. That was not my superpower doing that, I promise you. Okay, we're going to try again. There we go. Okay. This time, okay. Okay, well, I have a passion for public education and for the opportunities that I believe it affords our youth. Since the moment my son entered Emil Elementary about 29 years ago, I've been involved and engaged in the Bastrop Independent School District and their administrators, their wonderful, hardworking, dedicated teachers, and the amazing students that are part of this district. I've learned a lot by judging untold numbers of science fair projects and found out things about the way the youthful mind works, about what type of bubble gum makes the best bubbles and things like that. And also I've read books in the lower grade levels to the classes. I've attended and taken part in career days and other volunteer activities on campuses. I've served as a more or less adult parent member of campus and district committees discussing the operations of the district. And I have found that in the last 13 years, I've dedicated myself to raising money for the district for in-class grants that are administered by the Bastrop Education Foundation, which I was a member for 5 years. We read the proposed grants, we evaluate them, award them, and then evaluate them in class and in action. And that has gotten me a lot of connections on the campus, and that's how I got involved in being on the school board. For the last 9 years I've served on the school board. It's been a great honor, and for the last year I've been the president. I think we've gone through some interesting times together through the district, and I'm very proud of working with the school board members and the superintendent and the administration as a team focused on trying to make the best decisions for the students of this district, because those are the ones that we are most accountable to. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Thompson, you have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Yes, sir. Thank you. First, thank you to the chamber for having us again. Thank you to the moderator. As he said, my name is Joseph Thompson. I was born and raised in Bastrop County my whole life. 7 generations my family has been here. I served in the Marine Corps for 12 years. Upon returning here, I worked in the music industry for a number of years, where I founded a nonprofit where we help children with educational resources. And as our community begins to grow rapidly and the demographics change, it inspired me to run for school board, because I think that now we need innovative ideas in our school board, and we need people who can reach that certain demographic that's moving here. We talk about the growth, but we also need those policies that can accommodate the growth and accommodate those special needs that those people who are moving here need. Bastrop is a great community, and I think we need great schools to accommodate that community. And so that inspired me to run.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to start with the first question. In this case, the last person to make a statement gets the first question. So, Mr. Thompson, this is for you. You have a minute and a half to answer it, and then Mr. Moore will have a minute and a half, and then Joseph, you'll have a minute for any rebuttals or additional information. So that'll be the process that we go through. So, Mr. Thompson, here's the first question to you. The safety and security of all students, staff, and visitors is a guiding principle for the Bastrop ISD Board of Trustees. If elected as a trustee, what steps would you take to ensure that this remains a top priority?
So I think that safety and security is important, but I don't think it should be the top priority of an educational institution. I think as an educational institution, academic performance should always be our #1 priority. and then safety and security. And so we have a police force. I think as a board, we should work with the police department to ensure steps are being taken to secure our schools, both in school and out of school. We should work with various agencies in the county and the district, and just improve training for the teachers to observe special threats, any threats that may have came upon, to observe any security risks that might be there. We should focus on training and get our teachers, our staff more training, and also, as I said, increase our police force capabilities to deal with any threats that may arise.
Now, let me reiterate to both candidates, I don't think I said this, if any time you want me to repeat the question, I'll be happy to do it. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. All right, Mr. Moore, you're ready for your answer.
Yes, thank you. As part of the board that established the police department, I'm very proud to say that it's grown to 17 members now. They're all very dedicated officers. The safety of our kids is number one priority as far as I'm concerned, and always will be. We have to keep them safe so that they can learn, and in a safe environment for the teachers as well. Having served on the school safety committee for the last 4 years, I meet regularly with the other first responders in the area to make sure that all of our trainings are coordinated, that all of us are on the same page when it comes to emergency response. That is very carefully spelled out in our emergency response plan that is formulated and passed by the state agencies that oversee this. The recent bond money has been used to make our current campuses safer by closing off certain areas that had been too widely accessible before. And our additional bond will continue to focus on securing our campuses, making them safe places so that learning can be the focus of the day and not worrying about whether the kid comes home that evening or not. That will always be my number one concern, and it's certainly one of the priorities of the board that we set as our strategic objective to achieve, and is aligned with the district's operations and plans and what they are instituting at all the campuses as we speak.
All right, Mr. Thompson, you have another minute if you have anything else you want to add to your previous answer. No? We'll move to question 2. This will be from Mr. Moore. What steps do you want to see that would help ensure an increased safety at our school? I apologize for that question, but we had changed this whole thing for the third group and the fourth group. So anyway, I'm going to have to ask you to answer that question anyway.
Okay.
What steps do you want to see that would help ensure an increased safety at our school?
First, retrofitting our campuses that currently exist to make a single secure entry point, one that is not easily accessible, to block all the doors that are accessible from the outside, with required to use bulletproof film on the door and on the adjacent windows on either side of it, to make sure that those areas are safe, to try and make sure that all the teachers know that no doors stay open. We have police, Bastrop Independent School District Police on each campus doing door checks regularly, inside and outside door checks. We've been tested by the state under their safety protocol, and we've had very good results in the findings there. And we continue to move towards making safety a natural habit and something that is just ingrained in everyone, in the awareness that you can never let down for a moment. Your awareness that you have responsibility to keep your part of the campus safe and your class safe. Our teachers undergo constant training. Our police force undergoes constant training, interacting with the sheriff's department, Bastrop Police, other first responders, to make sure that we know what to do, that they know what to do, should any type of emergency arise. And hope it never does. Thank you.
So I think, as you said, we have BISD police officers. I think one thing we could do is we have 2 officers at each campus. One should always be patrolling the perimeter. One should always be patrolling the interior, making sure doors are locked and everybody is where they should be. I think that's one step. I watched a presentation by the police department where the chief said they did 196 traffic stops on city, county, and state highways. And I always wonder to myself, well, while the cop was doing the traffic stop, who was watching the school? And so I think that our officers should be on school from the time school begins to the time school ends. And that's one simple way that we can make sure that our kids are always safe.
I would just say that part of keeping a safe school is a safe environment that it surrounds it. That is not to say that traffic enforcement should be the #1 priority of the school police, though it is an important consideration for the safety of the students, particularly during drop-off and pickup times. The other important thing about having our police present on campus is that they get to interact with the students and the teachers and to build meaningful relationships so that a policeman becomes a symbol of safety, not as threat, not of a foreign person, but someone that you can build a relationship with, that you can trust, and that is what our police are constantly doing on campus, and that is, I certainly consider an important part of their job as well.
All right. Mr. Thompson, question number 3. With such a large school district footprint, approximately 437 square miles, how would you suggest getting more people involved in the process of running for elected office?
That's a great question. So my proposal is that we change our election system from at-large elections to single-member district elections. That would break the district up into various districts. I propose a 5-2 format that would increase engagement because each community will be allowed to elect their own representative. That representative will represent that community on the school board. That's the most effective way to increase the engagement. That person probably knows everybody in that community, and so he would have a more engaged outlook on the issues of that community, the children in that community, the needs of that community, better than, say, I live in downtown Bastrop, so I'm not always aware of what's happening in Cedar Creek, where if somebody was on the board from Cedar Creek, they would have that knowledge better than anyone else. So to me, that's the most effective way.
Well, TA spells out a very, very precise way of converting a school district to single-member districts. It has to have 15% of the registered voters within the district sign a petition, or 15,000 people sign a petition that then comes before the board. The board votes on that. If it passes, then the board is responsible for dividing up the district into the assorted districts, sub-districts for the representation, and there's supposed to be equal amounts of population in each group, more or less contiguous development in the area, and it places a great deal of additional responsibility and work onto the school district as a whole to do that type of setup. And I don't know that this, in the 9 years that I've been on the board, I have not seen that the way that we run the elections now has been particularly discouraging to anyone. We absolutely encourage everyone to be involved in the schools, and we would love to have more people with different points of view and different experiences apply to be on the school board, run for the school board, but they should be people who are engaged in the schools, who are involved in schools, who know what's going on in our district, who have been on the campuses, who have been part of the district. You can find so many ways of being part of this district, and I so encourage every person to find out for themselves how the schools are run. There's a great new volunteer organization called Volley on the BISD site. I'll just say that.
So I would say it would be a challenge, it would be more work, but I think the work would be worth it to get more of our community engaged in the elections. You know, there's always challenges to every election or every system, but, you know, that work will be worth it. And we need those people, we need those voices. I call at-large elections taxation without representation. We have whole demographics that's getting school tax, but they're not represented on the school board. And so having that proposal and having them be able to come, even if they may not be engaged, but they may have somebody who can represent them, who can speak for them, who can speak for them better than any of us can. And so I think that work will be well worth the fight.
Shucks, can you hear me now? Sorry about that. I didn't realize the little green light was supposed to come on. Sorry, I shouldn't have touched it either. All right, question number 4, Mr. Moore, this is for you. And if you want me to repeat these, this one's a little bit long, but currently, all 7 school board trustees are elected at large. This is similar to the way the city of Bastrop elects city council members. To ensure representation across our district, would you support changing the way we elect school board trustees to a mixture of single-member districts and at-large positions?
Well, as I said, this is really the community's choice. It has to start in the community with a petition, with the required number of signatures, with the support of the community to make this happen. If that were to happen and it were to come before the school board, that would certainly be a consideration that the school board would take seriously into consult and work together as a team to find what they think would be the best answer for the district and for the representation of the students, because that is who we are trustees for. It's an interesting position being on the school board because you're elected by the public, but your real responsibility is to the students. That's who you represent, is the students in the district. It's a position with a lot of responsibility and very little power. And that's the other thing. You're one of 7 as a school board member. To get anything done, it's going to have to be more than one of 7. It's team work, team players, team focus on a central, agreed upon goal. And it's been a pleasure on my part, an honor to serve on the school board that has been so focused on the students as being the primary goal of every action, of every decision that we make. And I hope to continue to do that. I think there's a lot more that we can do to help our students, and I look forward to the opportunity of working with those programs to do that.
Mr. Thompson?
I think we know that I already support it, but I think that even as a candidate, I think we have one of the largest school districts by area in the state of Texas. I've probably walked 2,000 plus houses. I think switching to a single member district, it would help the candidate more, because then you don't have to focus so much attention trying to cover such a large area, and you can focus on one specific district with less voters that you have to reach than trying to reach over 12,000 students' parents. And so it's always good. I've talked to people in the community supports it. And so at least if the board would put the proposal together, I think everything is worth a try. Nothing's off the table at this point for our district. And so even just putting forth the effort so that the community can have a voice, like I said, it's always worth the fight.
Mr. Moore, anything else you want to add?
Just that the TEA does spell out the process very clearly of how to convert to a single member district, and the petition originates in the public, not at the board level. So the opportunity to see that kind of change happen is based on community involvement and community support, and those numbers have to be met before it can be legally considered an action before the board.
Okay. All right, question number 5, Mr. Thompson. Lots of chatter has been generated online about academic performance at the Bastrop ISD School District. As an elected trustee, what would you do to change the conversation or make a difference?
So I agree with, I've seen a lot of the chatter on social media and in the public about the academic performance. As I said, academic performance should always be the #1 priority of a school district. Having a 28% literacy rate, it doesn't sit well with me, and I don't have kids in school yet, but I will soon. And so by changing, I think as a board member, we have to encourage We talk to our teachers, see where they're lacking, see what support they need. Talk to our community. You know, a lot of people blame our low performance on the demographics that we have. But what are we doing as a district to change our demographics, to help our demographics out? You know, we have one school that has 800 Hispanic students and it has 10 Hispanic teachers. You know, so of course the demographics is always a challenge, but we have to make sure we put forth the effort to encourage that demographic and help that demographic. And so as a board member, you know, I'm willing to work with anybody, or if elected as a board member, I should say, I'm willing to work with anybody, the administration. They're all great people. You know, it's not a bash on them, but maybe bringing those new innovative ideas, and myself having worked with that particular demographic for 10 years, I think I understand the needs that they have very well, so I can bring that insight as well.
All right, Mr. Moore?
Well, as a board member, I have and will continue to support initiatives that are specifically designed for academic improvement. We suffered from COVID. We lost a lot of ground, and we're making up that ground now. 3 years into an early literacy initiative, we're seeing changes in our performance on reading. We just this year started a strong foundations in mathematics program to focus on the shortcomings in the students' math performance. It's very important that the focus on the district is that supporting the programs that the teachers find work, proven programs for proven results. It's important that as a school board member that the focus is always going to be fact-based and evidence-based initiatives to accomplish the goals that we're looking for. 11 out of our 14 campuses have the same or higher grade rating this year as they did in 2019. 9 of our 14 campuses had higher numerical accountability ratings this year than they did in 2019. So we have made some progress, but we have not got where we need to go yet. We always want to be better. We wouldn't be satisfied with a B. I'm not sure we'd be satisfied with an A as a district. We always want it to be better than we are, and that's what we're pushing to get.
Mr. Thompson, anything else?
So I know we know COVID kind of messed up a lot of things. It's a lot of learning loss, but we've seen other districts that have struggled with the same issues. Our decline started before COVID, a little bit before COVID, and we've seen other districts, like I said, struggle with the same demographics, the same funding issues, the same issues, but yet they're passing. Yet their literacy rates are higher than ours. And so, as I said, we have to look at all possible, nothing's off the table. You know, maybe we should go to those districts and see what they're doing, see what's working for them, and bring some of those ideas to this district.
All right. Question number 6 for Mr. Moore. The number one priority of a school district is academic achievement. What is your understanding of the achievement gaps facing the district, and how should those be addressed?
Actually, academic achievement is the second of the 4 primary goals that the board has set as strategic goals for the board to meet and to initiate any actions and support actions that will move towards that. Academic achievement is number 2. That is important that we get our students back to where they need to be in their accomplishment and in their learning on grade level. We have, unfortunately, the state is counting education on a multiple choice questionnaire, and that is not an accurate way of really determining what a child knows without establishing context of information, without seeing the more holistic view of what intellectual development is. You're not going to get an accurate rating of how a school is doing or how a student is doing just by one standardized test. I think that it is important to take some of the pressure off of the standardized testing and look at a more holistic approach to student wellness, mental, physical, and emotional, to all of which go into increased opportunities for learning and increased performance in learning.
Mr. Thompson? Sure. The number one priority of a school district is academic achievement. What is your understanding of the achievement gaps facing the district, and how should those be addressed?
So I agree. The number one priority should always be academics for an educational institution. What we see facing our district, we have a large population of Spanish speakers, and as I said, we have a low population of Spanish bilingual teachers. So I think that's a huge gap, and I think that we need to focus attention on possibly getting more bilingual teachers, focus in just more Hispanic teachers to deal, there's a culture gap in the district. I've learned that in this campaign, there's a huge culture gap in our district, and a lot of people don't understand the culture. And so when we have a school that's, like I said, 900 students, 800 Hispanic students, and only 10 Hispanic teachers in the entire school, I think that's a huge gap in the culture. There's a huge gap in the language barriers. That's a huge gap. And so we need to fill those gaps. And if you look at the data, the schools who have smaller populations of minorities, who have smaller populations of economically disadvantaged students, those are the schools that's doing well. And so we need to focus our resources on those other schools, focus our attention to filling those gaps and getting the resources that those students need.
Mr. Moore, you have anything to add?
Yes, I will never really accept a answer as demographics as being a cause for a difference in educational accomplishment. We have undertaken an aggressive hiring and recruiting program to get bilingual teachers. They are in very short supply and very great demand in the state. We've instituted a signing bonus for them and retention bonuses for them, any bilingual teachers. It's a matter of finding them and putting them into the classrooms where they need to be. We don't assign teachers to schools by anything other than their ability to be the right teacher for that school, and that's the principal's decision. They're the ones that hire the teachers. Our HR department at the BISD has undergone an extensive outreach program using virtual job fairs, in-person job fairs, a variety of methodologies to reach the people who we need to find to fill our district teaching positions.
All right, this is question number 7, and this one might wake the audience up. So, number 7. Teaching children about sex, gender issues, gender modification, and more has made the news in recent weeks. And Mr. Thompson, this is your question first. What is your thoughts on sex, gender issues, and gender modification discussions in the classroom?
So I've never agreed with having those discussions in the classroom. As I said, in our schools, the focus needs to be on academics, and we should leave those conversations to the parents. That's the parents' jobs to talk to their children about sex or any other social issues. It's our job as a school district to educate them on the reading, the math, the science, and some history.
Okay, Mr. Moore?
There is not a sex education curriculum in BISD. There has not been one. There will not be one unless it's something that the parents want. Those issues are family issues. They're not dealt with in class. They're not dealt with in curriculum. They're not dealt with in any kind of educational way in their classrooms. Those discussions belong at home. However, the schools do have responsibility to see that every student is recognized for who they are and accommodated as best as possible within school operations to support that student, to be able to have the same opportunities that every other student has. That's a firm conviction. That's one of the strengths of public education. The other is the engagement of the public. And I certainly think that getting on campus and seeing what's really going on campus and not believing everything you hear on the TV or read on the internet will show you what's going on. And it is not those hot button items. Those are things that people like to talk about to get other people stirred up. That's not what's going on in our campuses. It has not been and will not be.
All right. Mr. Thompson, anything else you want to add? Okay. We'll move on to question 8. After question number 8, we'll take a short break. I'll turn it back over to Becky, and she'll give you some more information on how to submit your questions if you want to ask any. Question number 8, and this is for Mr. Moore. All right. Well, this is a big one too,
Oh, boy.
but nothing about sex. I just want you to know that. So,
We got that one done.
but this one was about money. So do you support the passage of the 2023 school bond package? Why and why not?
Well, I've been very, very proud of this community for getting together behind the 2021 school bond for $183 million. It did not increase the amount of tax that the school levies per $100 of value of the homes. And it has already, if you've driven by Colony Oaks or the Camino Real schools, you can see two beautiful elementary schools coming up to open in August at capacity. So yes, I absolutely do support the $231 million bond package that we're offering on the May 6th election. Again, it will not increase a penny on your assessment from the school district for the amount of taxes that you pay. The Bastrop County Tax Assessment Bureau division sets the property values. The school board does not. The school board sets a tax rate and is required by law to do so every year based upon the amount of money that is needed to cover maintenance and operation and to cover our debt service. In the last 5 years, we've come down from $1.44 to $1.22 in the amount that we tax, that the school district has levied for tax on the property value taxes. So we have actually reduced the tax burden percentage-wise. If your property values go up, you'll pay more taxes, but that's not the school district doing that. That's the property value increases. So it's important that this bond pass.
Okay, Mr. Thompson?
So I think for me, I'm on the fence about the bond. We need the bond, of course. We're growing more rapidly than I think anybody could ever have imagined. However, I think that we have to put certain policies in place to gain the trust of the community. You know, right now the community doesn't trust the bond. And so I think that we have to implement a bond oversight committee just, you know, to have transparency in the process, to educate the community on the process. I also think one of the big issues is the wages that the contractors are paying. I believe we need to raise our prevailing wages because I've seen some of the wages firsthand and they are atrocious. You know, we don't have very many local workers working on these projects, and we need local workers to work on these projects. That's how we build community, and then they will care about their schools a little bit more than somebody from out of town. And so we need to increase our number of local workers and raise our wages and have a bond oversight committee.
All right, Mr. Moore, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, for the last 18 years, Bastrop Independent School District has been recognized for its financial responsibility and transparency by the state, by the Texas Education Agency, star rated, and it's showing transparent use of funds, both in operations, maintenance, debt service, and now in bonds, bond usage money. The bonds that we got last time we passed were exceptionally low interest rate, which was very fortunate. We're looking at bonds this time. It's not going to be the same interest rate that we had before, but we do not have to sell all the bonds at once. We can wait and sell only the ones we need to get started at this rate and hope that rates go down a little bit so that we can accomplish more with the money that we have in that bond. But there's no way of not realizing that we need more classrooms for the students that are here. That is an absolute given, and I just don't see when you have these people coming that you have to have a place for their kids.
All right, that concludes question number 8. It's time for a break, so I'm going to call Becky back up here and let her give us some more information.
So I'll give the candidates just a brief break here and remind the audience of some important upcoming dates. First, early voting begins April 24th and goes through the 28th with a time of 8 to 5 p.m. And then May 1st and 2nd from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. with Election Day on Saturday, May 6th. If you need to know where the voting locations are, please go to bastropvotes.com. Those locations are listed there under the voter information tab. And then to save time at the polls, we highly suggest that you print out a sample ballot before you go to the polls. I have found personally that there's always something on the ballot that I was not aware of, some kind of amendment, some office we're electing for. And so I've always made a practice of printing out those ballots in advance. State law says that you are not permitted to refer to an electronic device while in the polling site, such as a cell phone or a tablet, but you can take in a paper ballot. On May 6th, if you are not aware, there is a $321 million school bond on the ballot. I want you to know that the Bastrop Chamber of Commerce fully supports this bond. The bond is at a zero tax rate increase. For more information about the bond, we do have a press release on our website, as well as a resolution passed by our Board of Directors, who's the governing body of the Chamber of Commerce, who represents nearly 800 businesses in our community. There's also more information on the Bastrop Independent School District website. Also, if you would like a sign to support the school bond, the PAC has signs out here from the Support Our BISD Kids. They're out here in the lobby. You can pick them up on your way out. And then also, if you want to support our We Believe in BISD initiative, there are signs out there as well. We are finishing our 10th year of supporting the school district, and we do have 2 new campuses opening in the fall. We will need additional sponsors for those campuses so that we can continue that initiative, so we are looking for more sponsorships. Also, if you do have questions of these candidates that are not pre-selected by our vetting committee, I will take those up now so that we can use those at the end of our list of questions. So, Judge Stone, are you ready to take back over?
No. I thought it was gonna be a longer break.
No, sorry. You're back on. All right.
Well, I want to encourage everybody, please submit a question because of the changes, the unfortunate changes that had to be made. I'm running out of questions. And so let's, I've got 2 more good questions that we can ask. And 1 dud, and I don't want to ask that one. And so I'm killing time here, but no questions from the floor? Written, they need to be written. And she'll look them over and take some time, and there we go. Great, thank you. She'll evaluate those and I've got,
Thank you, Mr. Washington. We appreciate you.
I'm retired.
We do.
I got a lot of time, so we can spend the night here. Well, maybe not, but anyway. Are y'all rested enough? All right, we're gonna move on here. So, question number 9. This will go to Mr. Thompson. All right. Currently, Bastrop ISD spends 85% of their maintenance and operations budget on teachers and student-related services, 12% on buses, transportation, libraries, etc., and 3% on administration. What changes would you make or not as an elected trustee to change the distribution of these dollars?
So I think we need to look at our outsourcing vendors or partners. In my experience, whenever you contract workers, you end up spending more money than you would if you did it yourself. You spend more money to have somebody cut your grass than if you did it yourself. And so I think that we need to look at how much we spend on outsourcing things, maybe look at bringing all of that in-house and see if we could save a couple $1 million that could go to something else that's more pressing or needed in the district.
Mr. Moore?
Every year that I've served on this board, we voted for teacher and staff increases in salaries. It's usually 3%, if not a little bit more. Sometimes it was 2.5%, and once it was only 1.5% when we were running short on money. Paying our teachers, paying our administration, paying our support staff is a crucial part of what the board tries to emphasize in setting up the budget each year. We're in the middle of the budget cycle right now, setting up and reviewing budget. We're having a workshop Thursday night on that because the budget has to be adopted in June. And what we need is we need support from the state of Texas. Texas has consistently underfunded each individual student, and the standard allotment has not been changed since 2019. I don't need to tell you that inflation has happened since then. Things cost more. Education costs more. We need the legislature to let loose some of that rainy day fund, some of that amazing surplus that they keep talking about having this year, to support our teachers, to support our support staff. Those are the most important people in your child's life other than you as a parent. So why would you do anything other than give them everything that they could possibly need to be successful, to have a living wage, to be able to continue their dedicated hard work that they do every day?
All right, Mr. Thompson, you have anything else you want to add?
So I think, as he said, I've been an advocate for education for almost 10 years, and I think every time I hear it's always funding is an issue. And I always say, we blame a lot on funding from the state. And I always think, I went to one school district and a guy donated $1 million to build a weight room. Another guy donated like $3 million to put turf on the football field. So I think we spend a lot of money in other places when we could go spend that money on our education. We could get a donor to build a school and put his name on it or something, the same way we do a football stadium. So I think we make a lot of excuses about funding when it comes to academic performance and paying our teachers. So I think that we have to look at other ways to get funding, various grants, various donors. Just be innovative, think outside the box.
All right. My last question to you guys. So here we go. Do what? Oh, I'm sorry. No, that was his rebuttal. That was it. That's all right. You're killing some time. That's good. So, question number 10.
Still time.
Question number 10. All right. What roles, if any, this is for Mr. Moore. What roles, if any, should Bastrop ISD assume for dealing with such societal issues as poverty, hunger, emotional illness, and/or drug abuse?
These are very significant problems facing every school district at this time, and Bastrop is certainly not immune to them. We have instituted in our campuses by programs to enhance the mental health of our students, providing social workers on each campus, people that can talk to, counselors that can actually counsel instead of doing administrative work because of readjustment in their time allotments. It is important that we support the children, the students, in every way possible to allow them to be successful and achieve all that they can in the school. It's simple as that, and it's as scary as that, because when we hear things about fentanyl and all the horrible things that can happen with drugs, we need to be constantly on guard against that kind of thing, and constantly educate the students on the dangers of using drugs that they don't know really what they are. It's a huge problem. My heart goes out to those parents who have lost children to this terrible scourge on our society. We do everything we can with our police force and with our teachers in education to see that our students are made aware of the dangers and that our campuses are safe places for them to be.
All right, Mr. Thompson?
So I'm a big believer in partnerships. I think, we just got through talking about funding. A school district doesn't have the funding to deal with all the socio-economic issues that a child may have. But if we increase partnerships, then there's plenty nonprofits, plenty organizations who have the resources and the know-how to help us deal with those issues. I run a nonprofit. If I don't have a resource, I call another nonprofit and they may have the resource. We know students who deal with all sorts of issues, and so there's a resource, or there's a partner, there's an organization, there's a group of people for almost every issue you can think of these days. And so if we increase our partnerships and maybe get those people to partner with the district to teach classes on drugs, teach classes on teen pregnancy, or whatever the issue may be, provide resources outside of school, provide learning opportunities during the summertime, provide literacy, or just all sorts of things. I know several organizations who have tried to partner with the district and they were turned out. That would have been a good resource for our students. And so partnerships is a big thing that we could increase to deal with those socioeconomic issues.
Mr. Moore, do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, one of our other of the 4 strategic goals that the board has is building relationships, a greater community engagement with the school district. That is something that we really want to have happen. We have initiatives working that way with our communications department. On each campus, we have principals who do everything they can to engage with the parents on those campuses. I can't stress enough how important it would be for people to get involved in public education, because public education is better when the public is involved. And that requires some work on the public's part to volunteer on campuses, to be there when it's needed as a mentor, as a good source of help for the teachers or for special programs that they have. The relationships in the community are very, very important, and we work to increase those as part of what we do.
Becky, you want to come back up?
Like several of these we've covered, but this has not been covered.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Moore, you had the last one, so Mr. Thompson, you get this one from the floor, and this is a minute and a half, and no rebuttals, just a minute and a half of each person. So almost every rating and review report states BISD as below average. Many people in the community speak poorly of BISD. As a board trustee, if elected or reelected in this case, what would you do to stop and reverse the decline of student performance in BISD?
So as I said, we have to look at where we are academically and increase our resources to help these students. I've seen the reviews, I've studied the reviews, and as a lifelong Bastropian, it's embarrassing. But like I said, we have to increase the trust in the community, and that part of that is being accessible to the community as a board member. Being out there, seeing what's going on. And I know some of our board members are great about doing that, but we have to do more and just find out what's lacking. What do our teachers need to effectively teach our students, in literacy, in math. I've talked to several teachers who one of their things was training. They need more training. So let's get them training. Just whatever they need to increase our academic performance, we have to give it to them. We have to support them.
Okay. One of the members of our administrative staff is Dr. Matt Warford, who is the curriculum head, and he has done a great job of pulling together teachers to determine what they need, what they have, what the strengths are, and to find the best way forward in these programs. The district is moving in the right direction. If you look at the performance of this last year's STAR test compared to the pre-COVID 2019 test, the numbers are up. They're not where we want to be. They will be when we want to be when everything's 100%, and that's what we strive for. We do have in place special programs, special tutoring, focus programs like I mentioned on literacy and on math to address those issues of shortcoming in our students' performance and knowledge, and we will continue to do that. We support the student in every way possible. We have people who do home calls to check on the wellness of the students, particularly if they have not been coming to class regularly. It's a very important point of contact. We have a homeless liaison who reaches out to the students who are in housing insecure situations to try and provide what they need. All of these go together to make a district, I think, respected, become a part of the community, and to increase its performance overall, because it all works together, and that's when it's going to get the best results for the students from the community and the district pulled together.
All right. No rebuttal on that one, so we go to question number 12 from the floor, a minute and a half. Mr. Moore, you get to go first on this one. Are vouchers a good option for educating our children?
The voucher program has been brought up in every legislative session that I can remember in recent years, and it has always been rejected because people see, and particularly people in rural areas, see where taking tax dollars and putting them into a private school that has no oversight for public input, is not governed by a board elected by the parents of the kids who go to that school, has no transparency financially, it does not have the same reporting demands on it as are placed on the public schools, is not a good idea. The programs that they're talking about now with these educational saving bonds, they say will give districts under 20,000 students $10,000 a student for the first 2 years. What about all those years after that the students have been lost to private schools? And just giving taxpayers money to businesses that without the taxpayers' direct consent seems like a really bad thing. It just doesn't, it's not constitutional. No matter what our Attorney General says, there is a constitutional issue with that. And I think it would be playing out in the court if it did. I hope that they don't continue to push this because it is not good for public schools. It is not good for our students. We're already underfunded. Texas is the 9th largest economy in the world, and we are in the bottom 10% on funding for our students.
All right. Mr. Thompson, same question to you.
So I think the only way to defeat the voucher talk is to have strong public schools. You know, right now we don't have strong public schools, so I absolutely think it's a parent's right and it's their choice if they want to take their kids to somewhere where their kid is going to get a better education. Until we have strong public schools where we don't give them an option because our public schools are the best choice, then vouchers are always going to be a problem. It's always going to be talked about, you know, and so the only way to defeat it is to have stronger schools.
All right. The last question, number 13, as it looks like here, and Mr. Thompson, you'll go first on this one. Name the 3 most important issues facing the school board.
Bastrop School Board or just in general?
BISD.
So the growth is one of the main issues right now that's facing the school board. We're growing rapidly, and we're growing, as I said, with a certain type of people. Everybody's leaving Austin to live cheaper. And so we're going to get a lot of low income, we're going to get a lot of minorities, and so that's one of the main problems that we're dealing with. Academic performance is the second. We did have a couple years of COVID, and so we had a lot of learning loss. A lot of kids missed a lot of time of school that they were already behind, so that COVID made them even further behind. So that's a number one issue. And then, yes, we have safety and security. You know, the world is changing, and so safety and security, you know, unfortunately, is always going to be an issue.
All right. So we are ready for closing.
Well, I need to answer that.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I guess I got anxious or something.
You're ready
But-
for this to be over with, huh?
Yeah, I've already put my notes up, so.
Okay.
You want me to
Okay,
read the question again?
Maybe that would help, yes.
Well, let me find it, okay? It's in here, because I did put it away, and it's
the
in
major
here.
concerns
I didn't
facing
throw
the
it.
School board, I think that's.
The 3 most
three
important
most
issues
important.
facing the
Trying to get the number
BISD
right.
school
Yeah.
board.
I think number one is doing everything that the board can do to help the community understand the need for this $231 million bond package to pass this spring. That is absolute critical for the future of the school district. We need classrooms for the kids who are coming here. They're coming. They're not. We have to have a place for them, and they're for everyone. The second one would be certainly increasing our academic performance. We're focused on doing that currently with these special programs, as I've mentioned. We'll continue to do that and institute additional measures should we need to increase the academic performance of our students. And I would say third is the question of safety. And safety is a more holistic term here than just a locked door. It has to do with an atmosphere in the school, an atmosphere in the community. Is it safe? And that is part of what our police do every day by building these important relationships with these students, by providing a safety shield for the students, for being dedicated to seeing that students and teachers alike have a safe place to study and to learn. Surveys have shown that since our police force has been instituted, students and faculty do feel safer at school. That takes a worry out of people's minds. It allows them to concentrate more on learning. So I believe that those all go hand in hand to make a
Sorry, you got
successful school
You can finish.
district.
That's good. That's good. All right, I believe we're now ready for the closing statements. And the beginning of this event, Mr. Moore went first, so Mr. Thompson, you have 2 minutes. Both of you will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. We'll start with Mr. Thompson.
So I believe the school board is one of the most powerful elected bodies in the planet. You know, I know a lot of people say they don't have a lot of power, but they enforce things that have an impact on our kids' future. And, you know, nothing's more powerful than that. You know, influencing our students, our kids, into the generations. And so, you know, I want to serve so that way I can help influence and bring, you know, just a new perspective, a new ideas, new innovation to the board. So I ask for your support and your vote. If you have any questions for me, I'm always available online, on phone. I probably knocked on some of y'all doors, so you can always find me or you can always reach me. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Moore.
In my 9 years on the board, it's been an honor for me to serve this time, and I hope to have the opportunity to serve 3 more. We've done a lot. We've moved in some very good directions. But prior to this last bond, it had been 14 years since we were able to build a school, to pass a bond. We're going in a very good direction in this district and in this community, and I would like to see those programs continue. I think that the board works very well as a team. It's only going to work as a team. We don't do platforms. We don't do parties. We don't do individual agendas. We work for the schools, for the school board, for the students. That's always been my focus for the last almost 30 years, my involvement with the district. It will continue to be, whether I'm elected or not, but I would prefer doing it as an elected official because I feel that the input that I have at that level while working with like-minded individuals on the board gives it a greater strength and a more validity for the direction of the school board. I feel, like I say, it's been an honor to be involved in the school district in every way that I have been, and being on the school board is certainly part of that. I appreciate the community support for the district. The show of the last bond passing so well, by a good margin, hopefully will indicate that the school district is still enjoying the support of the public, and that this next bond will pass equally well. It's of vital importance to this district, to this community, to this whole county, not to mention the city of Bastrop, that the schools become everything they can be. They become that destination school that people want to go to, and we're working in that direction. We will continue to do so, and I would appreciate your support to allow me to continue that work.
All right, thank you, Mr. Moore, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Mueller for being here tonight to face the public. And I think I'm done. I'm going to turn it back over to Becky and let her take it from here.
I kind of feel your pain. I did this in October when you were up in Colorado, and the League of Women Voters wouldn't participate if we didn't have 100% of the candidates in place. So I understand what it's like when you lose your place and stuff, so we always try to keep each other on track. I just want to make an announcement real quick. If you do have questions about the upcoming school bond, there are several people in this room that personally served on the Citizens Advisory Task Force, and so I am one of them. And so if you have any questions, I am happy to stay afterwards and answer those questions, or you're more than welcome to come by the chamber, call me or whatever, or I can connect you with somebody from the PAC who can speak eloquently on what the bond means to the school district. But in closing, I just need to thank a few people. First, we've got Corbin Wright and Corinne Bailey back here that have been running cameras and taking pictures. They are my communications and media team. So thank you for them being here tonight and making this seem seamless. I want to thank our Governmental Affairs Committee, ironically led here by, chaired by Christy Lee, who's with the school district, and also fully backed by our Board of Directors, who is chaired by Evan Moylan. And then Carrie Fossler, thank you again for being here. Your consistent dedication to this initiative is greatly appreciated, and just your dedication to Bastrop in general. And then thank you, Judge Stone, for being here and helping us with this candidate forum. We appreciate you bringing this to us and providing this service to the citizens of Bastrop County. And finally, to these candidates, thank you very much for being here. I know it's you never know what questions are coming at you, so we appreciate you being here and taking those questions and just getting peppered with them and just answering them professionally and treating each other very courteously. And then just remember that we do have an election again. I've mentioned this a couple times. May 6, 2023. Please evaluate your options and educate yourself before you go to the polls. And then, as I always close, in December 15, this was just an idea. And I believe today we have a very successful initiative that is benefiting Bastrop and Bastrop County when it comes to elected officials, and that our county is at a crossroads right now with the growth that is coming quickly down our throats. We do have a candidate forum next Tuesday night, right back in this room. It will be 5:30 to 7 for place 2 and 3 for city council, and 7:30 to 9 for the candidates running for mayor. So if you would join us again next Tuesday night, if you're in the city limits, we'd greatly appreciate it.